My newborn was fighting for her life in the NICU while my aunt sent me beach selfies. Now my relatives are pleading for help after my grandfather excluded them from his will. When my daughter came prematurely, I messaged the family group chat. "We're in the NICU, please pray." My aunt's only reply was a string of vacation photos from Hawaii. No one came. No visits, no questions. A month later, I was sitting in the hospital cafeteria when I glanced at my phone. 84 missed calls. A text from my brother that simply read, "Answer. This is bad." I remember exactly what I was doing when the NICU nurse told me I could finally touch my baby. It had been 5 days since her birth. 5 days of listening to alarms, watching tubes run into her body, and counting every fragile breath through a glass incubator. She weighed just 2 pounds and 4 ounces. Her skin was so thin you could see her veins. I wasn't prepared for that. No parent is. You expect to deliver your baby, hold them right away, cry, snap photos, and text everyone with joy. Instead, I sat in silence beside machines I didn't understand, trying to breathe quietly as if even the sound of me could disturb her. And I was utterly alone, not metaphorically, literally. Nobody showed up, not one person. At first, I convinced myself they were waiting for the right moment, or maybe giving me space or on their way. But I had sent the message. Clear and desperate, "We're in the NICU, please pray." Aunt Karen was the only one who responded. 3 pictures from Hawaii, her toes in the sand, a cocktail in hand, a sunset labeled best view ever. Not one word about my child, no concern, no love, just hashtags. I stayed quiet. I wanted to scream, to throw my phone across the room. But I couldn't. My baby was fighting to breathe, and I had to stay calm. I had to be her anchor. The hardest part was realizing that wasn't just a one-off mistake. No one followed up. Not my brother, the same brother I once drove 5 hours for just to help him out of a bad lease. Not my cousin Sophie, the same cousin who had crashed on my couch for weeks when she lost her job, who I covered rent for more times than I could count. Not even Karen's daughter, who had lived in my guest room for an entire semester while she found herself. Days turned into weeks. I lived at the hospital. My husband was still in Oregon, locked into a contract job that came with heavy penalties if broken. He hated being away, but I told him not to worry. I told him I was fine, but I wasn't fine. I was eating stale cafeteria food, showering in the family lounge, wearing the same few changes of clothes from a duffel bag, and watching my baby through glass. Her name was Ella. Not a single family member even asked what we named her. On day 31, I was in my usual cafeteria corner, sipping cold coffee, scrolling through the photos the nurses helped me take. Ella looked stronger, fuller. Still fragile, but there was a spark now. Hope. That's when my phone lit up. 84 missed calls. I froze. My stomach dropped. Most were from my brother. His last message, "This is bad." For once, I didn't panic. I didn't cry. I calmly set down the coffee and called him back. The second he answered, I could hear chaos, traffic, doors slamming, frantic voices. He didn't ask about me. He didn't ask about Ella. He just blurted. "Dad collapsed in the driveway. An hour ago. No warning. Just dropped while pulling the trash bins back." The neighbor called 911 and tried CPR. At the hospital, doctors discovered a massive brain bleed. His odds weren't good. I sat staring out the same hospital window I'd stared out of every day for a month. I asked who was with him. He rattled off names: Mom, Karen, cousins, Sophie. Everyone rushed there immediately. Of course, they could all show up for that. Then came the line they all knew I'd hear. "You need to come, Mom's a wreck, we need you." Not "How's Ella?" Not "Are you holding up?" Just "We need you." I told him the truth. That I had been in the hospital for 31 days with a baby who weighed 2 pounds. That I was eating vending machine snacks and sleeping in chairs while they acted like nothing was happening. I asked if he remembered the message I'd sent to the group. Silence. Then excuses: things were busy. Karen just got back from Hawaii. They thought maybe I didn't want visitors. As if silence and abandonment were easier for me than love. I didn't argue. I didn't yell. I simply told him I'm not leaving Ella, not now, not for this. I wished Dad the best, truly, but they'd have to handle it without me. And I hung up. The calls kept coming. Messages, guilt trips, begging, rambling. I deleted them one by one. And it wasn't anger I felt, not anymore. It was something harder, colder, final. I had always been the family's fixer. The reliable one. The one who paid bills, remembered birthdays, picked up the pieces. And yet, when my daughter was clinging to life, they left me sitting alone in a hospital. So that was it. I silenced the phone and went back upstairs. Ella was asleep, tiny arms spread as if floating, her heart rate steady, breathing without the CPAP for the very first time. The nurse told me we'd start bottle feeding soon. For the first time in weeks, I felt something inside me shift. I didn't owe anyone anything anymore. They could cry, beg, or demand. I was no longer their safety net. I was Ella's mother, and I was done saving people who never showed up when it mattered most. The next days passed in a haze. No more calls, no updates about Dad. As quickly as they had bombarded me, they vanished when I didn't play along. I didn't ask if Dad survived surgery. I didn't check on Mom. I sat in that NICU watching Ella grow stronger ounce by ounce. And then 2.5 days later, Karen appeared. I didn't even hear from her directly. A nurse mentioned it. She didn't text first, didn't ask to see Ella. She just dropped off a boutique bag with overpriced cookies, smiled, and left. That was her grand gesture. Later that day, my brother texted again. "So now you're cutting everyone off? After everything we've done for you?" I thought about the endless hours I'd spent helping him rewrite his resume when he was jobless, the loans I gave him for his car, the groceries I delivered when his wife was sick. I never made him feel ashamed for needing help. My reply was short. "You left me alone when my daughter was fighting for her life. I'm just doing what you taught me." Then I blocked him. That night, something inside me solidified. I logged into my nephew's tuition account, the one I'd been funding monthly. I canceled every payment, cleared my card. No warnings. Let the bills pile up. I canceled Sophie's rent assistance too, money I'd been covering since March, just because she hinted she was struggling. Not anymore. The next morning, Sophie messaged me. "Hey, did the transfer not go through? Rent's due." I ignored it. Karen sent a photo of flowers in a vase with "Thinking of you" and the baby red sun, deleted without opening. By evening, 3 unknown numbers tried to call me. I didn't answer. I knew what they wanted. When people realize their safety net is gone, they don't suddenly reflect, they scramble. They gossip, twist the story, panic. Not because they care about you, but because they care about losing access to what you provided. But that version of me, the one who always said yes, died the day I sat in the NICU and read a Hawaii caption instead of words of love. They made their choice. I simply followed their lead. Meanwhile, Ella was breathing on her own. She'd gained more ounces. The nurse let me hold her for an hour straight. And for the first time in a long time, the crushing weight I carried began to fall away. Piece by piece, the hospital became a strange sort of home. I knew the vending machines that jammed, which nurses loved jazz, and which ones gave me the blunt truth. Ella kept growing stronger, gripping my finger tighter every day. Doctors started whispering about discharge. We had a rhythm now, a rhythm that didn't involve my family. Then my phone buzzed. A message that made me pause. It was from my grandfather. No emojis, no platitudes, just "call me tonight." Alone, we hadn't spoken in months, and he was never one to get caught up in petty family drama. He was an old-fashioned man, reserved but commanding. When he spoke, everyone listened, always had. That night, once Ella was asleep, I stepped outside to a bench near the ER and called him. He answered immediately. No pleasantries, just straight to the point. He said he knew everything. He knew no one had come to visit, that Karen had been off enjoying a vacation, and that my brother was now rallying everyone against me, claiming I'd turned cold. He said he'd seen the group chat messages. I didn't ask how. It didn't matter. Then he said something I never expected. He was changing his will. No hesitation, no gentle build-up. He told me directly that he was sick of the family hovering around him for money, pretending to care while giving nothing back. He said he'd watched this pattern for years, but what they had done to me and Ella had been the last straw. He said he'd already met with his attorney. Everything, the house, the Vermont property, the investments, would go to Ella. Not me. Her. She's the only one still innocent in this family, he said. The only one who deserves a real beginning. I sat there under the yellow streetlight, stunned. I told him I wasn't expecting a thing, that none of this was ever about money for me. He said he knew, that's why he trusted it to her. And then he added, "They believe you depend on them, but truth is, you were the one holding this family together. The moment you stopped carrying them, everything began to fall apart." We said little else before ending the call. The next morning, chaos erupted in the group chat. Screenshots, blurry photos of legal documents, endless speculation about whether it was fake. Karen was typing in all caps. My brother just sent row after row of question marks. Not a single word about Ella, no questions about us. It was all about money, about fairness, about who said what to Grandpa. Later I learned he'd called a family meeting at his house without explaining why. Everyone came, probably expecting gifts or an announcement about downsizing. Instead, he simply handed out folders with the new will and walked out of the room. No explanations, no debate, just final. Karen lost it, Sophie threw in a passive-aggressive line about family traditions. My brother tried to FaceTime me twice. I didn't answer. Instead, I sat in the NICU chair with Ella asleep on my chest, listening to her steady little heart monitor. Her warmth, her weight in my arms, that was real. Not property, not inheritance. The family couldn't see that. They thought it was about turning Grandpa against them. But this wasn't revenge. This was consequence, and I wasn't done yet. For 3 days, I stayed quiet while the messages piled up. My brother cycled between fury and fake calm. Karen sent a voice memo about how important it was to stay united for Ella. Sophie suggested a girls-only chat, which made me laugh considering she'd stayed silent when Ella was fighting for breath. What they didn't know was that while they obsessed over the will, I was making different plans. Ella was growing stronger every day, and I'd been quietly working with the hospital's social worker, completing paperwork they didn't even imagine. We were leaving, not just across town, across the country. My husband had just been offered a permanent role in Colorado. A part-time, flexible position had opened for me at the local children's hospital. The package included relocation help, and best of all, Ella was accepted into their NICU follow-up program. She'd have specialized care, ongoing support, and doctors used to premature babies like her. I told no one but my husband and one trusted nurse. No one else deserved to know. 2 days before departure, I finally dropped a message in the family chat. A photo. Ella in a fresh onesie, asleep in her car seat, 2 suitcases behind her. No caption. Karen responded instantly. "Where are you going?" Sophie followed. "Wait, are you moving?" My brother's text came last. "You're really doing this? After everything?" As if I'd abandoned them. As if I'd been the one who left someone alone in a hospital room. I didn't answer. The next day, Ella was discharged. We packed up, boarded a plane, and flew west. Just me, my husband, and our daughter. I held her the entire flight. No tears, no second thoughts. That night in a hotel near our new apartment, my husband scrolled through my family's endless texts and asked if I wanted to block them all. "Not yet," I said. "I want them to see what life looks like without me." And they did. Over the following weeks, I posted only small glimpses, Ella napping in her crib, her first checkup at the new hospital, a video of her staring at a ceiling fan in awe. The likes came pouring in, not from them. They stayed silent, watching. But I could see the views, the profile checks, the quiet lurking of people realizing they were no longer part of our story. Then came a letter from Grandpa. Handwritten, he told me he was proud. Said he hadn't informed the others yet, but he had already made another adjustment. Ella's share was being placed into a secure trust for her education. No one else could access it. Not even me. "They took advantage of your kindness," he wrote. "Now they'll see what happens when it goes somewhere else." I folded the letter and tucked it into Ella's keepsake box next to her first NICU photo. The family didn't collapse overnight, but slowly the cracks deepened. Sophie mentioned she couldn't cover her rent. Karen hinted at selling her condo. My brother's child was suddenly pulled from school mid-semester. I didn't rejoice in their struggles. I didn't answer either, because it wasn't anger anymore, it was freedom. At first, there were soft attempts, likes on old pictures, vague comments on Ella's photos, testing the waters. I ignored them. Silence spoke louder. Then Sophie broke first. About 6 weeks after the move, she emailed me. Pages of sorry, written like a minefield. She wrote about her struggles, claimed no one realized how hard things were. She said she'd been thinking of Ella, that maybe someday we could reunite. She ended with, "I'd love to get to know her. She deserves to know her roots." Roots. She didn't mean family history. She meant access. To Ella. To what Ella had been given. I didn't respond. A week later, a box showed up at my door. No return address, but I recognized the handwriting. Karen. Inside, oversized baby clothes, a teddy bear with a gold ribbon, smelling faintly of her perfume. The card read, "For my little princess, with love from your great-aunt Karen. Let's put the past behind us." I closed the box, resealed it, and shoved it into the closet. Then my brother, no text, no call, he just showed up. My doorbell camera pinged while I was cleaning bottles. There he stood, hands in his pockets, staring at the door like he wasn't sure it was real. I considered ignoring it, but something in me wanted to hear him. I opened the door. He looked rough, not sick, just worn down. He muttered, "I was passing through." We both knew that was a lie. Silence stretched. Then he said, "I just wanted to see you." I waited. Finally, he added, "We miss you." I let that sit in the air. Then I answered, "You don't miss me. You miss the version of me who paid your bills, patched the cracks, and held everyone together." He didn't argue. He just looked down. After a pause, he said, "Mom's been asking about you. She's confused. She thinks this is a misunderstanding." I asked if she'd been confused the day Ella lay in the NICU and no one came. He had nothing to say to that. He just gave a small nod, turned, and walked away. I closed the door. That night I sat in the nursery, Ella curled on my chest, her soft breathing filling the quiet. The glow of her nightlight painted the room, and for the first time in months I felt peace. They could try guilt, nostalgia, fake kindness. It didn't matter, I'd finally understood. Love isn't proven during a crisis. It's shown in the ordinary days that follow when there's no drama to perform for, no spotlight, no strings attached. It's in who shows up and who disappears. My family had revealed themselves in their silence, so I stopped waiting. Instead, I built a new circle. Neighbors who carried groceries upstairs, friends who dropped off soup unasked, a coworker's spouse who gave Ella clothes that actually fit. No obligations, no hidden motives, just real kindness. Months passed. Ella flourished. Her cheeks grew round, her laugh bubbled easily. Doctors said she was thriving. One morning, I found a voicemail from Grandpa. "They still don't understand," he said, "but that's not your burden anymore." He sounded tired, but at peace, like a man who had already made his final choices. That same week, we took Ella to a mountain cabin. Phones off, tucked away. Just us. As the sun rose over the snowy peaks, I held my daughter against my chest and clarity settled over me. They will always want back in. They'll test the boundaries forever, but I'll never forget that hospital room. The empty chair beside me. The silence that wasn't just quiet, it was abandonment. And I'll never forget what it taught me. Not every family deserves another chance. Some doors are meant to stay closed. If you enjoyed this story, make sure to like, follow, subscribe, and turn on the bell icon so you never miss the next chilling tale.